we're going to be hiring a full-time virtual assistant to help us execute some of this investing in like crypto, NFT, metaverse, because I think even if we just put a little bit, I like to call it moonshots, like Google. Google has their core business, right, and then they end up investing in other things that could be very big, and you want to do that as a business, and that's what we're going to be doing with that space. So I'm excited about that.
What's up, you guys? This was Ask Alex number 59, and this was a deal review week. Man, these are always some of my favorite webinars because we're actually diving in, going over numbers, looking at deals, and this time in particular, we were looking at new deals in new areas. So Alex, what were some of your biggest takeaways?
Well, big takeaways is doing deal review is very important because it shows the tribe, it shows people how they need to look at deals and all the different data points. We even called an agent live so they could see how we were gathering data on that potential investment opportunity. And we were even talking to the agent saying, hey, if you have anything else, let us know. And we got that contact live. So check out the webinar. You'll see how to analyze deals and how to buy more property. Let's go. Aloha, my deal makers. This is one of my favorite webinars, you guys, because it allows us to review deals with you. It allows us to really just see the numbers and how the thinking behind it affects the offers. And there's so much to it. We do this every single day. For us, it's second nature, but we're going to be able to talk to a lot of you about it today. So I see some familiar faces. As you guys know, I'm going to wait for my co-host, Will Wall. I'm in Mexico, in Monterrey, and enjoying it. Spent a fantastic week in Vegas. Well, a couple of days in Vegas, and got to connect with a lot of people across the country, a lot of investors, wholesalers, multifamily investors, developers, some big names, man, some amazing people. So thank you guys for showing up as always. I'm going to bring in my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Lowball Wall. And we're going to go into a couple of deals, you guys. And today we're going to somewhat freestyle it, where we're going to look at a couple different areas. And so that way you guys can see the thought process behind making offers, the way we calculate ARV, how we're running numbers on rehab, how much profit we want to make per deal, how much all of the money is costing us. So it's going to be a lot of value, guys. Running numbers on deals is one of the most valuable things that we do on a daily basis to make offers and to take advantage of opportunities. What's up, my dude?
Facts, man. I just heard you at the end of there. I mean, like, yeah, knowing your numbers is huge, right? So this will be fun. Love reviewing deals, and this will be cool because we're actually going to like look up new deals, right? In some areas here in LA.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into a couple of different areas, and then if we need to, we have also another deal that didn't go quite according to plan, right? That we want to talk about if possible, unless the tribe here has other areas that they want us to look at deals and make offers on. We might even talk to an agent or two. We shall see. Stay tuned to the very end.
Yeah, and again, I think these are fun, right? Because this is, kind of like you said, Alex, this is something that we do on a daily basis. Every night I'm looking at deals with the team. Sometimes on Friday nights, it'll be, 8:30 at night on a Friday. And what's getting us excited is looking at deals with like, 4, 5, 6 of the guys are on the team, right? So having a good knowledge of the calculator that you're using, the areas that you're looking at, the things that we're going to go over today is very, very important. So I think today will be a great, chance for people that have done this before to get a little bit better at it, and the people who haven't to at least get an idea of what you have to do.
Yep, absolutely. So I think we're going to go right into the update, and then
we'll let people kind of trickle in like always. Before we do, guys, if you don't mind, use the chat feature down there. I'll go ahead and get things started, but let us know where you're from, what your name is, and what market you invest in. That way everybody kind of gets an idea. Okay, cool. Alex is out in Hawaii. Alex is buying in Arizona. Alex is buying in California. That way, if there's other people in the room, other people in the chat, tuning in the tribe, they can, kind of help you out along the way there. So go ahead and use that chat as always. And if you guys have any questions while we're going along today, Alex will give an update real quick. And then if you have any questions during the deal review, go ahead and use the chat there as well, and we'll answer those for you. So Alex, what's been up, man? What's going on?
Well, since last week, I did fly over to Vegas. I was in Mexico City. Right after that, went into Vegas, spent 2 of the 3 days at the mastermind there, meeting people, greeting people, getting to connect with some of the investors that are already in the program, some of them that we know, some people that have just joined, some people that were just going to the mastermind for the first time. And I think a couple big takeaways from that, as there always is takeaways whenever you go to invest that much value in that many people, you inevitably learn stuff, you inevitably make connections as to where you are at in your journey to where you want to be at, or maybe you got some new ideas. And for us, I know we talked about this, we've been wanting to get involved, but we saw Austin Rutherford. Some of you might know him or not. Amazing investor, entrepreneur, crypto investor. His presentation blew my mind. I'm already a fan. I met him at the TAB retreat in Cancun, but to meet him again at this mastermind, I've been poking at him. I'm like, yo, bro, when are you gonna come over to Hawaii? So, you know, using that card on him a little bit. But because of the presentation he gave, we're gonna be hiring a full-time virtual assistant to help us execute some of this investing in like crypto, NFT, metaverse, because I think even if we just, you know, put a little bit, I like to call it moonshots, like Google has their core business, right? And then they end up investing in other things that could be very big. And you want to do that as a business. And that's what we're going to be doing with that space. So I'm excited about that. We're going to be doing some interviews next this week and next. Now, another thing, it reminded me, Will, I'm sure you can agree, of how important it really is to be part of like the right community, around the right people. It just is so important to your progress, to your growth, to what you are exposed to and how your mind is expanded. And even though we've kind of scaled up our operation in some ways, we're still constantly learning from other investors, other people, and from Ryan himself. And so another big thing is, I feel like it gives me a lot of confidence. I don't really lack a bunch of confidence, but I do lack confidence maybe in the area of thinking bigger, because you can always think bigger, right? Elon Musk, these other big names, Jeff Bezos, they're thinking 10, 15, 20 years down the line.
Rutherford said 100x down the line is what like these guys are thinking, right? Like just next level.
Yeah, like they don't even talk about returns in percentages. They talk in X's, like, oh, you know, 2x, 3x. Now we're not telling you guys to go invest tomorrow in crypto and all that stuff. We're just telling you what we're doing based on who we've been exposed to at this recent event, and some more detailed information and techniques, strategies that we're going to implement. And really big thing here is we got an award for, as a group, as a company, as a team, as a tribe, of over 7 figures, over $1 million, because of the equity we captured, the revenue we generated. And so it's just a total team win. Not me, it's you, me, everybody else that's on the team. There's close to 20 of us now working together, and that's what really propelled our. And we bought 7 houses in the last month, and so we hit 30% of our goal, 25% of our goal for the year. We hit in the last month because of the compound effect. And also 20% of all the deals we did last year, we actually did with tribe members that we met here at this webinar. Kayvon, Nick Mobley, Mark Neagley, and Brian Davila. 4 deals, and we got those guys paid. They help us get us paid. And so we're doing deals with people that we're meeting here on the webinar, which is just another reminder, you guys, that, you know, we're just trying to put it together, see how we can structure deals win-win. And so we're showing you guys what we're doing so that you guys can learn, take action, and then we can all grow together. Now, another big thing is, so I'm currently in Monterrey. I've been hearing about this city for a long time. It's a beautiful city. It's one of the top 3 biggest cities in Mexico. So I went to Mexico City. I already live in Guadalajara. And so now coming to this city, it's way different. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, for a lot of you that don't know. So it's surrounded by mountains. I was hiking my whole life. I love hiking, I love trail running. And so just being in these mountains over here, which are much higher and just different terrain, has been just amazing. It's one of my passions, one of my hobbies. So I'm super happy to be able to kind of check this city out. And it's clean, it's like luxurious, it's like low cost. My Airbnb is like $30 a night, and I'm like in the middle of town. Man, it's good ROI. As an investor who's thinking about ROI, right? And then I'm just working on my Spanish. And Monday or Sunday night, I'm flying back to LA. So I'm gonna be in LA for 4 days, Monday through Thursday, spending time with my dad. It's his birthday on Wednesday. So I extended my trip back to, or my return back to Hawaii, so I can spend time with my dad. And we're gonna have a fancy dinner with some of our money partners. So I think Will was on here, and a couple other, just people that are helping us take these deals down. They're super valuable to our business. That's pretty, I know it's a bit of a long update, you guys, so thanks for listening in, but that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm excited to get back to LA and then meet up with them, spend some time, check out the progress on your house hack as well, Will.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we hosted the meetup last night. That was a big part of the week and everything. And we were able to kind of showcase. I think we had about 35, 40 people come through, and same thing as the last time when we had the house the first time. It's always fun to do a before and after meetup because people can really kind of see what the future side of these projects can look like, and that's what a lot of the things that we do as investors is you put out fires along the way to getting to that future result. So excited how that one came out. We have it listed on the market. We're fired up for that one, and fired up for the people that made it out for the meetup. So, Alex, I think that's time to jump in and start reviewing some deals, man.
Let's get after it. All right, you guys. So first place, I think we picked. I think is it Burbank or Anaheim?
I think we're gonna start off with either one, but let's start with Burbank.
All right. So yeah, I had Burbank up here right here. So as we if you know Southern California, Burbank here, and all these little blue dots that we've seen, there's a lot of deals we've done. But so a little bit of a higher price point, but a lot of flipping opportunity there, very in demand. A lot of money coming over from Glendale and all the surrounding areas. It's a safe, beautiful place to live. So we are going to look at some deals in Burbank. I got the MLS up here. Pretty much we just go to Burbank, find some deals to look at, and then we'll analyze it, see if we even call an agent or two based on what we see. So active, single family. Let's do under $1 million and see what we find. So we got 8 matches here.
So yeah, I think that's a good fair price point. 8 matches.
Yeah. So this is the one line screen, and one of the things I want to say, you guys, is that when you are looking at listings, analyzing deals, one of the most valuable things that I have found is to really pay attention to the description, right? And it can't be overlooked because this is the way the agent is presenting it to the world. So whether you're looking at a sold comp, you're looking at a pending comp for an ARV you're looking for, or it's a listing that's active that could compete with your deal if you were going to flip that property, for example. So just take your time. I remember sometimes I used to rush through this, and then I presented to my old mentor like this deal, and then he'd look at some deals and he'd show me stuff. Look at this one. This one sold. Yeah, sold 20,000, higher, but it had a bonus room, and you didn't see that in the pictures. So I just want to kind of highlight that point, guys, that how important that is to read listings and read descriptions. So
and more than anything, right? Like knowing the deal is what we kind of call it, right? Like whenever we have a deal that we're trying to get approval on from Alex, it's like, he should be able to ask you like, okay, do you know what neighborhood it's in? Do you know where the nearest cross street is? Like, do you know if there's railroad tracks? Do you know if there's any deal killers? And it's like, you should know your deal inside and out from the description and from the seller's notes and whatever information you can gather.
Yeah, and once you become great at acquiring deals consistently, that's what I've noticed with people. They literally could just come up, and so for example, this morning, you said, hey, we got to buy these properties. I think we just need to double check our numbers, and we're good to go on this. That's a sign that you know what you're doing, because that's what I used to do when I was really good. Is like I just go over to the investor's desk and I know my deal, and he couldn't poke through it. But then before, he'd poke through it and then ask me a bunch of questions. I didn't know the answers. I had to go back and look like an idiot, call back the listing agent, call back the wholesaler, call back the property owner, because I was lacking information. So just keep that in mind. Now, another point I wanted to make real quickly before we go into looking at this deal is you really need to go in with the mindset of I want to master the MLS because that's going to help you take action. That's going to help you analyze deals, and that's going to take time by looking and really just navigating. Like I could jump through the MLS, I can go to the map section and look at that. Oh, if my internet will ever pop up, I can, there's layers here where you guys see my screen? Yeah.
Yeah, man. We say, okay. Yes.
So there's layers here. Sometimes there's certain neighborhoods you got to put these little grids because it's the same zip code, but it's technically a different neighborhood. So this is all stuff that I've learned by just taking reps and analyzing a lot of deals. There's different ways that you can mess with criteria. You can go back a little bit further back. You can see what's been active just in the last 10 days. There's so many different ways that you can cut this data up that it just can't be understated that you need to go in with the mindset of mastering the MLS. All right, so let's look back at this deal. As I said earlier, perfect opportunity for developing in the middle of Burbank. The property has been completed, gutted out. All right, so immediately I would probably skip on the field because it doesn't fit. We don't develop. That's not our business model currently, and that we're not looking to develop in Burbank at the moment. But what I mentioned earlier is you see it. Okay, it's being pitched at that. So it's really not a flip or cosmetic or any nature. It really is. I mean, a full gut. Like everything is missing inside. So it's gonna be a heavy rehab. Wouldn't want to really analyze this deal because I think it's just gonna be estimating a rehab or development.
Yeah, we can go for the next one, but again, this is when you guys are looking at deals, you're going to want to look through, and this is why you read the descriptions and why you want to know the deal, because again, it's one that you're going to have to pitch on the back end. This looks like more of an opportunity here.
Well, yeah, it does, but if you see, it's pretty clean, and I'm noticing. They write some verbiage. Do you see the pictures? Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So it actually has the ADU in the back.
Back, yeah. Opportunity knocks. It's listed for $749. It is fantastic 2-bedroom. Okay, a non-permitted 1-bedroom guest house in the back portion of the lot. The main house measures approximately 949 square feet and is bright and inviting. Okay, so one of the first things, let's take a quick look at that. One of the first things we do is go onto Google Maps and just type this in, type in the address. That's one of our first things because we want to see what if there's any disqualifiers, any deal killers on a deal. Say we're looking to buy a deal, and one of the deal killers for us typically could be maybe right next to railroad tracks or to heavy industrial or power lines. Yeah, so that could be in like that. So you want to kind of try to disqualify stuff, first if you can. That way you don't waste your time, 8 minutes looking at a deal and then you find out this is right next to it, the power lines, and that's kind of a deal killer for you. Well, you just wasted 8 minutes. You could have been looking at another deal. Okay, so it looks like if we zoom in here on satellite, this is the property. The unpermitted, I think, is in the back. Is that what it said, or did it say in the front? Let me go back.
I think it said it's in the back.
Yeah, non-permitted guest room in the back portion of the lot. Okay. So then it's probably gonna be this section here, right? And so in the city of Burbank, and this is where you need to have specialized knowledge. So if you're gonna be investing, then you need to know your area, talk to people. This we know from experience, but you're gonna need to pull full permits for Burbank. It's a nicer neighborhood. People typically are a little bit more aware of what's going on, in their neighbor's house next door. If there's unpermitted construction, you're more likely to run across neighbors kind of ratting you out, and so you probably need to pull full permits to make that an ADU of some sort. So when something could look like a benefit, it actually could be a negative or just more work or more rehab. So on this particular property, it's kind of hard to comp now right off the bat because now we're we're dealing with unpermitted space. Because with the unpermitted space, if you're gonna have to get it legalized or you're gonna have to demo it, and neither of those are like if you have to demo it, then you really can't give it any value, and you have to increase the rehab. So that's really not a lot of benefit. That's not going to help you on your ARV. That's just going to be a more expensive rehab, and you probably even have to pull permit for that too. If you are going to potentially just reposition and make it change back to a garage, maybe it's not as expensive as demoing it, but then you have to just spend money to put it back to the way it was before. If you're going to legalize it, then now you're talking about a whole process, 6-8 months, maybe a year to make an ADU. Now, we're not really flipping ADUs. That's not our business model. But I do know people that are doing ADUs to flip, or like they're trying to burn them. Not our business model, but as you see here, it is for this area. It's kind of an attractive price because the average house in Burbank,
you could do a lot of things with the price.
Yeah. So if we could look at comps on this end and just see, hey, if we were gonna flip this thing, what number would it work at? So I think that's maybe something we'll do then, because we see no deal killers here. It's just in a nice little neighborhood in Burbank. So also when we're looking at the map, we're trying to see what kind of pocket it's in, right? So then that way, okay, if we see a comp over here on this other side of I think this is of North Ontario Street. On the map, it looks like they're very similar neighborhoods, but it could be far superior, or it could be, somewhat superior, or it could be inferior. That's why we try to get boots on the ground, and when we do get in front of it, we do get people to typically drive comps if we're getting very serious an opportunity. Maybe not when you're just making an offer, but just be aware of that. But it looks like, so comps in this area would be superior, right, than comps over here in the aspect of it's closer to the property. So that's a mindset there, like always trying to be as like for like and as close as possible to the property. So
yeah, and I like how you called it like pockets, right? Because we know in LA, one block one way, two blocks another way, you can be in different pockets, right? And sometimes those pockets, those different neighborhoods are big. So, Alex, if you're somebody that doesn't have that market knowledge like you do, like we do, what's the best way? Like, can you call an agent? Can you ask them for some feedback?
yeah, so you can call agents, you can drive the comps yourself, you can read a lot of listings. So if you read listings that are sold in that neighborhood and sold in this neighborhood, maybe you see something in those listings during descriptions that tells you that, hey, this is the inferior or it's part of this other pocket. Another thing, as I mentioned earlier, if you go to MLS and there's these layers here, so it could potentially, you can do the layers to see if there's any, if it's a different neighborhood, if you're not that familiar with it. You see, this is
And again, like it's something that comes over time. I mean, you analyze, a couple hundred deals every week, you're going to get more and more familiar with that area, right?
Yeah, exactly. And see, now that I have this knowledge, I'm just updating my knowledge. I look at listings regularly. I know what's happening in my market, even though I'm in a different country or a different state. I'm still constantly, but it took me a certain amount of time to get familiar with that area. But once you're familiar with that area, that knowledge can transfer over to you as an investor. So now I have knowledge across all of SoCal, most of 3 of the 4 Hawaii islands, and then other parts of and a lot of parts of Arizona now, Phoenix and Tucson. So this is just stuff you're expanding your knowledge, and it's valuable to you in the future as an investor.
We call them data points, right, Alex? The more data points you have, the easier it is to pitch the deal and know the deal. So good stuff. Because again, like not everybody has that superior knowledge, but the way that MLS is built is it kind of aggregates the knowledge. You just have to know what data points to use and what parameters to use to find it. So
yeah. So right now I'm gonna just I'm gonna comp it out. What I'd like to do personally is you go over here to Realist. This is the tax records. This is again why it's important, because I want to see what officially the county, the city, the place that is in the property, the jurisdiction the property is in. So then that way I'm comparing it to that, and I'm not, oh, hey, this thing is showing on the MLS listing that it's a 2,000 square foot house, but really Untitled it's only 1,200. Well, then I really can't give it the value of a 2,000 square foot house, because I might need to demo it or legalize it. In either case, that's expensive, and not just a simple process, just rehabbing an existing structure like we, ideally what we want. So, okay, a 2-bedroom house. This is showing the listing information. So I'm gonna maybe zoom in a little bit. I don't know if you guys are all on.
Yeah, we're able to see it pretty good there. That's big.
Okay, cool. So this information, location information, sometimes if you're interested in developing, the zoning is something you want to pay attention to. In our case, that's not something that's that important, but it could be relevant to what you're looking at, but pay attention to that. Tax information, just this is the APN number. For people that don't know, that's like the social security number of the property. Sometimes you're looking at opportunities and it can include another APN number, where it's like we did in Joshua Tree, right? We bought our property and the APN next door, which was the lot next door, we were able to get that, negotiate that for not that much money. I think it was like $10,000 for the lot next door. So, but APN is what I call the social security number of the property. Okay, so assessments and tax. So the reason this is important, you want to just look for irregularities, such as a really high amount. So it shows here the total annual tax is $4,137 for that property. That sounds reasonable. It's a $700,000-800,000 house, paying annual taxes of $4,100. Now, what you don't want to see, what if that said $10,000? Because sometimes what happens is like there's some assessments in the area. Maybe they're redoing the streets. Maybe they're doing some type of additions to parks or making new construction things happen in the area. Or also sometimes there is solar panels on properties. There's stuff like hero loans and things like that. There's programs that these homeowners get, and they're gonna be transferred over to you. So then they increase the taxes rather than charging the homeowner. They just put it on their taxes. So, well, you're going to inherit that, so you got to count that in your numbers, and that can make a big difference on the monthly payment. Whether you're trying to cash flow property or you're transferring that to a new buyer and you're going to flip it, or you're wholesaling it, and then it's something that the end buyer is going to see anyway. So you got to know your stuff. See special assessment. Sorry, that's where it was. So you can see the annual taxes were high, and then the special assessment will be here. Look, $198. So that's definitely within reason there. And then the characteristics. This is important because you see the lot size officially. You're seeing type of construction, the building size here. You see here, look, it says building square footage is 912, but MLS says 1428. So it appears that unpermitted room is like 500 square feet.
So now we know the size of that unpermitted area back there, right? So now we can check. MLS's number now doesn't look as big as some of the other houses.
Yeah, and sometimes on his year build and effective year build, there's some discrepancies there, right? So it was built in 1920, but it was kind of redone completely like in 1945. So there could be some very old electrical, there could be some very old plumbing there. So the age of the property is something you got to pay close attention to, because the older the property is, the more, and it hasn't been rehabbed, the more likely that there could be some deferred maintenance that could be very costly on rehab. So something to know. Okay. I don't see anything here. Now, there's also like this indicator here of like it's called an AVM, an automatic valuation model. It's kind of like a Zillow, kind of like a Redfin. However, it is title data driven. So I would say it would probably, pretty accurate overall. But if you see it's showing a price range here of up to 800,000. A 2-bedroom house in this area of Burbank. I know the area. I mean, it's not gonna go for $1 million, but we do want to get a number on what this would do for us. Now, regarding one more thing I want to add, or a couple more things here at the end here, the last market sale, this is relevant because if you're on MLS and you're looking, you could see when somebody bought something, when they sold it. And if you're looking at a comp that's a flip, you could almost reverse engineer how much they paid it for, how long it took, how much it approximately made. So it helps you quickly identify if you're within range of if you're going to buy flip something, right? If you see a flip and it's sold, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say this also shows up on Zillow, right? So like if somebody doesn't have access to a realist, you can find this same information about a property like this on a Zillow. There's a tab there that says recent sales history. And just like Alex is saying, like you can go back and reverse engineer on a Redfin or a Zillow, just like you can if you have access to this data. So it's not like it's limited just to people with MLS access. I want to make sure that people who are just getting started and might not have access to that, are also aware like, hey, you could do this too by just reverse engineering through Redfin.
Yeah. So like I'm gonna just Redfin it real quick, and then you can see at the bottom here. Tell me if you can see it at the bottom. It would show that. Now this is not the perfect example for this point.
Yeah, we see it right here. So it was right up above it. Go up a little bit. You just passed it.
Okay,
so
right
sales history right here. So we know this property was recently sold.
So it was bought for $218 back in 1990. But if it was bought like in 2011 for like say 500,000, 525, then you got this wholesaler send you a deal similar, and they're wanting 90. You got to really pencil in your numbers, see if that might work. So it's just a way of analyzing and getting more data points to make decisions, and it's helped anchor my thinking. If I see a flipper in an area and they did a deal, what did they buy it at? Now it could have been a bad deal, and I could kind of tell that, but it's still a reference point that I think is worth making the point here in what we're trying to explain. Okay, so we looked at the Google Maps now.
We were looking at the sales history just to again get an idea and and
then so the market history is indicated there. Regarding mortgage history, I found it to be valuable information if you're able to get this information when it comes to dealing with direct to seller leads, because then you can kind of figure out how much money they might owe on the property, because most property owners are not going to just willingly tell you, oh yeah, my balance is $186,000, and some of them don't know because like they just make their mortgage payment and they're not checking their balance like their bank statement every single month. It's a mortgage. Most of the payment goes to interest in the first, it's front loaded in the first 10 years or so, right? So, but if they've been making the payment for 15 years and then they took the loan out for this amount, and it just helps you, because I like to, when I talk to direct to seller leads, I like to focus on their net amount, how much they're going to walk away with if they sell me the house. And I don't like to focus on the purchase price so much, because usually that's a lower number, doesn't help us all that much. So if I'm talking to them, I want to be talking in terms of, oh, how much you're going to walk away with, how much wow, that's a lot of money. What are you going to do with that? That type of conversation. And estimating your, their balance is something you can do if hey, they took out a loan in 1990 for 174. Shoot, that was 30 years ago. Like
the other thing is the equity side, right? Like, for when you're trying to acquire the property, you need to know that they have enough equity that it makes sense for them to even do the transaction, so that they have enough money, enough gap in there to hit their walkaway number. So, that's a huge point there, Alex, because, we like to deal with people that, the distress is one thing, the condition of the house, but really they have to have enough equity and motivation to do it. So huge point.
Exactly. So we're going to look at some comps for that property. As you see here, we did it. We're running a search with within 1 mile, and ideally, actually, we want to do within a half mile, or let's just say 3/4 of a mile max to start. And houses that are currently active, single family, active under contract, pending, and closed. And because we looked on title, we saw that this thing's really only legally, 900 something square feet. Typically, you want to comp stuff out within 15 to 20% of that square footage. So within 15% of about 1,000 square feet would be about 1150. So I'm going up and I'm being generous to 1250 just to kind of run a search and see what we come up with. But we can't give that other square footage any weight right now because it's unknown. It would probably have to go back to a garage. Okay, so we have 18 houses. Okay, this is again the agent one line view. If you can get access to the MLS, this is one of the most important screens because it helps show you, okay, what's active. These arrows indicate, and we all kind of know we're in a hot market, but that's not always going to be the case. These arrows here, my computer's running low. So the arrows indicate here, okay, so this is the status. So there's only 3 of the 18 are active. Okay.
Now, Alex, so if there's only 3 of the 18 that are active, like what does that indicate to you?
That means there's low inventory. I think it's obvious. We all know this. But that also indicates to me like this is gonna be my competition. If I was gonna flip this property, I would be going up against these. Now I don't look at them first. I mean, this is our subject property, but let's go on to the next one, right? You would look at the actives and see why is this not selling, right? So this one's listed for 849, 16 days in the market. I see these phrases jump out at me. Oh, ADU, plenty of room to build another ADU home. Okay, listed for 8. It's dated, it's clean, it's a nice home, but it definitely doesn't look like it's been upgraded anytime in the last 10 years. And it's very comparable to our property, also in a very similar neighborhood, and it's listed for 849 and is not selling. So that gives us a reference point there. Now, that wouldn't be the most valuable reference point because it's an active listing, because we're really going to give the most weight to closed listings. And then pending listings, we might want to call agents, check out what it went into escrow at, or kind of ballpark. We want to ask how many offers, how much activity. These are questions you can call agents and ask, even as a regular buyer, as an investor, and whatnot, because agents are there to like serve and give you information if you ask the right questions. Look at this one, on market for almost $1 million, very similar property, and look at the condition. See what's going on here. I mean, it's dated too. Like floors were beat up, kitchen's old, and they're trying to get $1 million for this. Like that's why it's sitting.
That's why it's been on the market for a little bit.
Well, it's 7 days, so it's not in that. Someone might make offers on it, but I doubt it's going to sell for that price. And if you really wanted to go granular, you can call the agent like, hey, how's the activity been so far? I'm looking to buy a property in an area that might I'm looking at yours might be a comp for me. Can you educate me? Can you help me out, please? And we've made calls like that many times, and agents, that information we get from agents give us another data point to make a decision on that deal. Okay, so pending 875. All right, so welcome to the perfect starter home, lovely 3-bedroom. Let's see the condition. Oh, look at that. It looks like it's kind of staged. I mean, it's dated too, but you see how clean it is. Good pictures. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's, look at the bathroom is not updated. You can still got the ceilings over here, the wood panel ceilings. It's a clean property, but
clean property, and they definitely
got the gym in the back, in the garage. So look at this extra seat, and this is stuff where I'm like, what is this? This looks like the main house. Like, what is this back here? Like, is this an extra room then? And then that's what we gotta look at. I don't think we read the description, but look at that. Clearly, there's some additional square footage that might not be.
A lot of additional square footage within a garage, it looks like still also.
So let's read new flooring and a 400 square foot sunroom located off of the kitchen, not included in the advertised square footage. Okay, so Wendy De Leon, okay, on the market. So now we kind of, all right, well, it's not in the same condition of what we would be putting the house on the market, but with that additional square footage, they might have gotten there asking or something like that. So now we're talking, like, we flip this, maybe we have an ARV of something close to this. If we call this agent and ask them some information, we kind of get some feedback. If they, well, let me see this. Let's do that. Let me see if I can get the agent on the line right now and just kind of poke around a little bit and see what she got asking or above asking. And usually they're kind of helpful. So let's see. Now, since I am in Mexico, sometimes my phone rings kind of weird to people, so she might not pick up. But let's give it a shot. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you guys. Are you fired up? I can't wait to hear this. Like, love it when you get on the phone with an agent live, like, again, and just listen to the kind of the questions you want to ask.
Hi, Wendy. This is Alex. I'm an investor. Is it a bad time?
No. How can I help you?
Well, I'm calling because of your listing on Evergreen Street. Please forgive me, but I'm potentially buying a property in the area that I might be looking to flip. Would you be able to educate me? Let me know. Did you get over asking, under asking? Can you help me out at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we went significantly over. So I can tell you we're under 930, but we went over asking.
Wow, good for you. Okay, so that's helpful. And so you had a lot of activity and drove the price up, or what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Anything in Burbank right now is just any 3-bedroom in Burbank is just it's flying off the shelf. So
Yeah.
if you're buying something, it's probably expected. And really anywhere right now.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, I don't have any other questions. Do you ever come across investment opportunities like, flips or stuff that we might be doing ADU? Is that something, how often you come across stuff like that?
Yeah, every once in a while I do. This actually would have been a good one. I was hoping to find someone to do that with, but I wasn't able to. So I can keep you in mind next time I have something.
Okay, my name is Alex Camacho. I'll save your number 2 here. So anything that comes up that could be an investment opportunity within, even just SoCal, we primarily work on single family stuff. We're working on over a dozen projects, so we're pretty active.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Wendy. Bye. All right, guys. So did you guys see how that conversation went? Any questions about that?
Great call, man. Again, love how you kind of congratulatory, right? You're asking for help, and people just kind of have that natural inclination to want to help people. So especially when you congratulate them for getting over asking price. I see a couple of people chatting in that they loved it and that was fire. So I mean, great call, bro. Like that's what you want to do when you're going for that education from an agent is, try and again get as much as you can out of them. And she gave you like pretty much a number almost.
Yeah, she's just like, oh, it's less than 930. Okay.
Less than 930. So it's like, okay, we can put 925 in there. Like, and that's like, she didn't give us that information, but she pretty much gave us the info we needed, right?
Yeah, you see, I'm not, I'm an investor, I'm cool, yeah, I'm making a lot of money. No, oh, good for you. Hey, thank you. So more of kind of like, help me out, please. Like that type of flow.
And then always ask for the referral at the end. You're like, hey, congrats on this one. I know you already got this locked up, but if you do get anything like this again, let me know. Like I'm interested. And so, great way to at least make sure that you tied in the end of the call to a future opportunity.
Yeah. So, and I say investment opportunity simply because you never know what they would consider an investment opportunity, and maybe something we tie up and then we wholesale too. So I don't just say, oh, any house is looking to flip, because the word flip doesn't have the most positive thing, kind of reputation, I guess you would say. So I like to use my words very carefully when I'm talking to agents, so I don't have any trigger words like, oh, this guy's just a flipper, like he's just wants to make a quick profit, So, I love this stuff, guys. By the way, just
I love that investment opportunity versus flip. Again, like those are two completely different terms. We joke around, like, when you put a flyer that says like, I will buy your ugly house, like a bandit sign, and it's like, for somebody that's their house. You don't necessarily want to be like, hey, I want to buy your ugly house. They're like, man, this is my house. So good stuff, man. That was a great call.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, guys. I love this stuff. This is like, this is super fun for me, like, because I'm not in the game as much anymore. And then talking to agents, it's like, I don't know, it's like shooting hoops for me. I love it. But going back to the agent one-line screen, guys, I want to highlight a couple of things here. As you see here, it's so powerful because we're seeing all the solds. We're seeing, these arrows that things are just going flying off the shelves. These arrows mean that everything's selling above asking. And then this is also showing, the lot size, the square footage of the property. So, and if you see here on the left, it shows the distance to the property. So I'm always kind of toggling back and forward and saying, well, this property was half mile. So half mile. So the closer the better, right? It sold for $860. It's also small. Let's look at the blue, a lot of blue going on here. Okay. And it doesn't look like this is rehab either. Now, in the sake of just trying to save time, we're going to kind of go a little quickly here because I don't want to spend forever on these, just one example, but I think hopefully you guys are getting value from this. But I think if I were going to run some quick numbers, I would just go over to the calculator and I'll say, let's say that I think based on what I'm seeing, I can get, I don't know, like, let's just say 900,000, right? Sorry, that's 9 million. Definitely a deal. All right. And then a house that size, I mean, we just read that we have the house in Sunville that size that we probably have to do very similar. We spent about $90,000.
I'd say 90,000 would be a fair place to.
Let's say, you know, we put $90,000, you know, and obviously you're trying to sell a house close to $1 million. Like you got to spend some money on it. Now I'd probably put a little bit more because we're going to be in the city of Burbank. So I might even put 160. Typically our time frame right now is about 4.5 months. So we would just add maybe another month and a half. So that would be more, 6 months. So we'd put 180. So let's see. Now, going for some of you that haven't seen our calculator before, let us know. It is on the private Facebook files, the group, the section of the files, and we will send you a tutorial if you haven't. But this is our custom flip calculator, and we're running the base case. We're not going to go through the detail of running the best case, worst case right now, but I'm just going to do quick and dirty on it, kind of what I would want to offer on it, and then we can go on to the next example. Typically, in this area, we're getting leverage of 80-85%, meaning that we'll put 15-20% down. Out of the pocket. We're also getting some of that rehab amount, so we could say 25% of that is under our. So we would need to use approximately 150,000, 175,000 to take this deal down under our current financing funding options, right? And so two points. In this area, it's a little bit more of a metropolitan area closer. We'd probably be closer to 1 point, let's say 1.5.
And guys, you hear how he's putting in those variances, like 1 point to 1.5. That's where you would change that number between the base case that he's on right now and the best case. We're not going to do it right now, but you would maybe put 1.5 as your base. Best would be, hey, we are in a metro LA, we might get 1%. And worse would be, let's say they go, hey man, we don't like that it has that unpermitted area in the back. You know, we're going to give you 2%. So that's why we have the best, worst, and base case. And as Alex mentioned, that is on the Facebook group. So
yeah,
good stuff.
And so we ran some numbers, and because this, you know, a higher purchase price is going to take a little bit more capital, but for you it might be more than us because, you know, we're getting some leverage. So you might have to, you know, use $200,000 if you have to put the rehab out of your pocket. But I'm going to give you an example of us. So you know, remember the money that you're going to need to execute the deal, the rehab amount, the cost of money, all these things are factors that can make or break a deal. We're just showing you under our current circumstances, you know, what we would need to pay for this property to make sense for us. Now, we're typically trying to get 30 to 40% annualized return on investment for this amount of money because, you know, it's an active form of deal making. We're not sitting back passive, like a lot of work has to be done.
And it's a big investment, right? Like you said, it's a $1 million home that you're putting $90,000 into. So you do want to see a return back.
Yeah. And when I look at these numbers are very correlated to me. How much money we're going to make, how much money we're going to have to tie up and use, whether that's my money or that's, you know, a money partner's money, whatever that is, I treat it the same because or actually I treat other people's money superior than mine. I'm willing to risk more of my money, but I don't really have to do that as much because I've already done it for so many years that now we've built enough, you know, track record where people see that they know what we're doing and we're going to be good stewards of their money and we're going to buy deals that have very low risk of actually losing any money, but a lot of upside to potentially make a lot. So as you see here, like they want for that property, let's see, where was that property at? Sorry. I think they wanted, 725 or I'm forgetting now. Yeah, so they wanted 749. So based on the quick numbers, we would be at like a good 100,000 under asking for the current asking price. So we'd have to dial in our rehab numbers. Could we say 750? Now it becomes a little bit tight for me, right? It's like, okay, you know, 675. And then you're like
to the point where what we're going to put in $160,000 to make 40, right?
Yeah, imagine using, you know, $235,000 and then making 50 grand, like 13% like that. That's weak. Like that would hurt. But it can happen. The number one thing is you don't want to lose money, but also you don't want to invest in very slim deals. You do all this work and you're basically working for free, or it's like you could go do some other stuff with less risk. that you can make more. Why would you do that? So this is the way we look at things, right? It has to have a good ROI, and it's just numbers. But the way you communicate that to agents, and the way you communicate that to wholesalers, and the way you communicate that to property owners, like, hey man, we're running a business here. Like, it has to make sense for us. We're the one taking all the risk. We're the one doing all this work. Like, it has to make it work. It has to be worth our time. And we don't want to hit a home run, but at the same time, we don't want to base hit on something that's going to take this much cash. So this is where.
And when you're having that conversation, having filled out all 3 versions of this calculator is helpful. I know we just did a quick and dirty right now. We want to jump, to one other deal. Maybe I think, Alex, we're getting down to 15 minutes. So we might want to just switch to one other deal.
Yeah. Let's go to another one. We were going to go to Anaheim as well, another area. We've done some deals in there, but we're not doing a bunch there in OC. But I think that's another fantastic market. Lower price market for the OC. A lot of money in OC. I know I passed on a deal that was in Stanton because we had flips in Lancaster going and La Mirada, and I was like, in hindsight, I'm like, damn, I wish I would have bought that deal because I probably would have made 100,000 on that deal. So yeah, Anaheim, but there's so many different pockets, right? Let's go over here and just see if we can change the criteria. We'll look for a property maybe under 700,000 in Anaheim, and then we'll type it in here. Let's see what else we can come up with. Are you guys getting some value from this, guys? Give us a thumbs up if you are. This is one of my favorite webinars we do every month because it helps us keep our deal-making skills sharp.
Yeah, guys, remember, we'll make sure recording of this is up on the YouTube as well. So if you guys are getting value from this, you'll be able to go back, kind of rewatch some of this. I know a lot of this is, nuance for Alex. He's done this a lot. So if you guys are stuck on some of the different parameters, again, that's all MLS is it's got data and you have to sort it how you want to. So Alex is just really good at sorting it now. So if you guys are getting value from this, let us know in the chat. I think this is incredible stuff. Again, we're doing this on a daily basis. This is how we look at deals. So let's take a look at these Anaheim ones, man.
Okay, cool. All right. So I see 9 listings. I put 700,000, but maybe I don't know Anaheim as well, right? Where it's it's already gone up, and so there was only like 3, and I don't think that's enough for us to choose something. So I went up to 800,000 single family residents in the city of Anaheim, and now we have 9 listings. Variety of times on market, and let's just kind of just jump in. So that was the first one, 649, small house, cottage style, historic district in downtown Anaheim. See, and that's one thing when it comes to historic property. It's regulated or overseen by a different, a different department within that city, where they want you to have a certain amount of exterior paint, exterior type of finishes, and so there's extra oversight. So that oversight is on top of like the regular permitting. So you guys got to keep that in mind. Stuff like that we avoid unless it's a very deep discount, simply because it's going to involve like almost 2 agencies and their approvals and whatnot. Now, if it's a cosmetic rehab and it's a good deal, then perhaps, but not if it's like a heavy rehab or anything like that, that would require a lot of permitting, a lot of extended wait times for that. All right, so let's go to the next one. Seller must Anaheim home, beautiful curb appeal, active. What's going on here? I mean, this honestly doesn't look like a flip opportunity, so I would just move on. So a lot of it says, okay, this is genuinely not, this is an owner-occupied opportunity, right? Same thing here, 690. When it's a very long description and it's all super clean and basically it's financeable, not necessarily a flip opportunity. Now, could I still call the agent and say, hey, man, I'm looking at your deal, it looks clean. Like, why are they selling? Oh, okay, well, I'm looking to buy something that maybe I could fix up and put it back on the market. I say that often too, because I don't want to, again, say flip. So, invest, put some money into it and put it back on the market, make a decent return. You could say something like that. Doesn't seem to fit, but what else do you have coming up, Mr. David, Mr. Or Mrs. Lisa, that may be an investment opportunity? I always ask open-ended questions. Like, you saw where I cut myself short earlier. I was like, what do you, like I said, do you have anything? And that's a yes or no. And I corrected myself to say, well, what do you have coming up? Or how often do you come across investment opportunities? Because you want to stay in open-ended question mode predominantly when you're talking to agents. So you get them to talk. And then they can open up to potentially if they're a good fit for, they're investor friendly, or, if they have any insight to provide based on that area. Okay. 745. Again, this is kind of high. Welcome to Anaheim. And again, this is not an investment opportunity, so we're just gonna move on to the next thing. 749. Now that one, only 5 pictures. Now we're talking maybe need some work. Okay, you know, it does look like it's been upgraded in some way, but look at the exterior, the front, it looks kind of beat up, but that can really be improved as far as curb appeal. $749 is really high price, 34 days on the market. This is also something we look at often, is just the listing history, because you can see, okay, it got listed for this price, it went into escrow in this many days, it ended up selling at this price. Very valuable to be able to look at listing history. And you could also see that in Redfin and Zillow. So pay attention to that, because if it's a comp you're using, well, you want to identify, like, okay, what was the road to get that to a sold property? Why did it take 60 days to actually go into escrow? Okay, well, they listed it too high, and then when they came down in price, the market paid what, the market will bear. And so you see that happen often too when you're looking at your comps. All these data points help you make decisions and help you understand what's really happening in this market. Okay, so I mean, should I analyze this one, Will, and see what the price would be on that, or should we?
Yeah, I mean, this one just from the surface looks like it could be pretty good. It's got that old, exterior, and kind of like, older looking area in the front, right? So guys, we always use Google first before we jump into MLS. And Alex mentioned this earlier, because like, what do you notice right here? What are we right next to? 5 freeway right there below us, some of the 2 big intersections, a metro stop. It's like, that's a busy intersection.
Yeah, but it's not that close. And then what you want to do, so you want to make sure that you're looking at if there's the sound barriers, because sometimes these sound barriers, well, now I'm not saying that you would get the same price if it's that close, but there's things like that that are also relevant.
Also, just from this view, we see that there's a lot of pools in the neighborhood, and our house also has a pool, which we know is, hey, so we at least have one of the homes in the neighborhood that's going to be superior, like some of the other ones, right?
Yeah, but just keep in mind, there's 2 things about swimming pools. One, is it desirable for that area? Looks like this area is, and knowing Anaheim, it is. But 2, look at, what do you not see in the backyard very much of?
Nothing else but the pool.
So exactly, and people
that's all you have.
Yeah, whenever you're dealing with a pool and the house is less than, say, about 6,000 square feet. Yep, if it's less than 6,000, now this is something I learned from my old mentor, but in all the data he saw, he was like, if the house has a pool and the lot size is less than 6,000 around there, there's almost no backyard.
That's all your backyard
is that at that point, it's almost not a benefit. Even if it is a benefit to the area, it's kind of a wash, or if anything, inferior, because like now people are afraid of, like, their kids are just walking in the backyard and drown in the pool. So it's like there's really not that much space to entertain. And who's in the pool like all day long? I mean, so you get what my point is on that. So we'd have to kind of fade or reduce the ARV somewhat compared to another similar house with a little bit of a bigger lot with more, or it could be 6,000 square foot lot, but it's just the layout of where the pool is within the lot is just more advantageous, and there is a lot more yard. So let's run some comps on this. I don't see any immediate deal killers. We did to kind of see this pocket, right? So we're trying to really find comps in this pocket, not across the freeway, not across here. You see this is like a tree-lined street, so that probably is superior in some ways. You see there's bigger lots over here, houses with huge lots right here. So this is further away from the freeway, but closer to another freeway, and not sure, I don't know Anaheim that well to like know if that's gonna be superior, but let's have a look.
And again, like, you can kind of figure out the superiority just by looking at some of the comps on the neighborhood, right? So like, Alex will sometimes bring it into less than a mile, because that's like the sub neighborhood within the neighborhood, right? That'll really give you some ideas within your neighborhood if you're not familiar with the neighborhood already.
Let me bring it up on tax records. Remember, we bring it up on Google Maps, we bring it up on tax records, we bring up the comps. These are all data points. So built in 55. I quickly like to, you gotta kind of quickly analyze the deal, like, okay, it's 1,200. So I'll say 12 in my head, and I'll say 61 in my head. So now I know like the specs for the lot and the square footage of property, 3.3, 1,200, 61, 1955. So I quickly take a snapshot. Now that comes with time, it comes with practice, but if you guys want to take this business serious, you gotta be that quick. You gotta be able to analyze the deal in like less than 10 minutes. That way you're not wasting time on stuff that's so far from becoming a deal that you miss opportunities on ones that are a lot closer. Okay, so I don't see anything alarming. The tax assessment's good, 6,100, okay. And sometimes these pools, this is not the case. I've seen pools that are literally like bootleg pools, like unpermitted. And so you'll see here it says pool. Now, if you went on here and it was kind of like a Mickey Mouse pool, and you looked at it, maybe it was an area kind of outside of normal suburban area. You looked at it and it didn't have a pool here, and there was no permits for it. You could have a bootleg pool. You might have to cover up or get it legalized, and that could be a headache, just like I mentioned with the stuff that was unpermitted before.
Yep.
Okay.
Stuff. And I mean, like, these are all just like a little, what we call data points, right, Alex? Just little pieces that give you a little bit more information. You're trying to kind of craft who this seller is. So
remember, I was telling the loan, and even though you're not dealing direct to the seller, if you're dealing with the agent, keep in mind, like, they have to have enough to sell the property to pay the agent, to pay their loan off. Looks like they took a loan out for $416 in 2017, so they probably owe around $400,000 at this point, or somewhere in that range. Now you're getting a better idea. If we need to buy this thing for $500,000, then after tax commissions and all that, I mean, they're not going to walk away with more than $100,000. And
Alex, was that word you said earlier, the walk away, right? And that's a big number for you. You want to know, what is this person's walk away number? What are they going to walk away with from this transaction, from this sale?
Yeah, and if this said $500,000 loan not taken out last year, then I'm like, damn, look, I mean, they're not going to get very much cash, and then you got to help sell that to the agent, or the agent's going to have to present that and try to figure out how much motivation is there then. So that's why it goes back to like equity and pain, like how much motivation is there to sell the property, and then how much equity is there to make a deal happen if it's going to go to an investor, because it needs to be some margin. So, okay. Let me know if I'm going a little bit quick, guys. This stuff.
No, this is, again, this is all stuff that if Alex is going a little bit quick, we just want to make sure we get this deal in so you guys can see a couple of comps, and you guys can always go back and kind of review this on YouTube. We'll post it in the Facebook group.
Yeah, so there's 1,200 square foot house, so I'm going to compare it to like a 1,450. Actually, I might even be able to do 1,500 because it's already.
Yeah, and Jason made a great point here in the chat, just the mini micro markets, right? Like the micro neighborhoods that we kind of talk about. So keep that in mind, guys, when you are reviewing these deals. Neighborhoods change block to block in California, and I don't know about your areas, but it can happen here.
Yeah, and so we were talking about earlier, we looked on the map. So these, we would hold most weight to these, right? So we got 8, we got 796.
Those are all in that same little pocket in between the two freeways, right? So that's a similar pocket.
Yeah, so I'm like, what is an $800,000 household? Okay, so it's bigger. I think it has more bedrooms, a bigger lot. And you could read this. Gorgeous beam.
So maybe it has one of the beam ceilings with exposed.
Oh, see, and then there's no interior pictures, which is sometimes can be a little bit harder, We're like, okay, but we gotta assume, and it looks like a flip. So this might have been a flip, and that's what, and we do that sometimes too. We take the pictures out of the inside so people don't copy us. But my old mentor used to do that. Look at this thing went up like 50,000 over asking. Now, since it might be a flip, let's look at the tax records simply so we can see what they bought it at, and if it is a flip. Let's see. Okay, so market sale. They bought it, okay, in 2011 for 3.4. Okay, so no, they were just smart. They're a smart seller. They bought it, look at the low. They rehabbed it before they sold it, and they got top dollar. Look at that, savage deal for them. Good for them. Okay, and so going back to the map. So now we're like, okay, that property didn't have a pool, but it was completely dialed in. Now this one pretty close by, sold for 800. More bedrooms, about similar lot size, so fast. Okay. See what
and it said in there it has a backyard, so no pool.
I mean, again, this is also we could look at the pictures, a little bit more detailed, but I mean, it's staged, got the white and gray theme going. Probably a flip. There's probably a flip too. So let's look at it. The tax records and see what they bought it at and what their anchor is, or where we kind of need to be at if we were going to make an offer, right? Okay. This is good. All right, so they bought it. Here we go. They bought it in August for $636. Then they sold it 2.5 months later for $796. We could almost re-engineer it real quick and say, okay, whoa.
And go back to the calculator, exactly, and re-engineer the number.
636. They sold it for, I already forgot. What is this? Sorry. Yeah, they sold it for $796. In 2 months, so no, 2.5 months. So that would be 75 days.
5 days, short hold
And
time.
then, I mean, a property that size, 1,200 square feet, they dialed it in. I mean, they probably spent, I mean, I would think 60 grand.
I'd say 50, 60 grand.
Okay, so that's 660. Boom. So, assuming they had maybe similar costs of us, it could be better. They could have better costs. Well, actually, we can see a little bit too. You can see
if it was a cash
yeah,
transaction.
look, they took out, oh, wait, look. This, okay, hold on here. Let's go back. This was bought for 537, and then 5 months later, it was flipped for 636. Huh. And then it was, so this thing was like flipped 2 times. I mean,
it looks like each person maybe put in 100,000 or 50,000. So maybe it had a little bit more. I don't know.
Well, they could have bought a good deal, and then they could have, maybe they actually needed to evict tenants or something. So that could have been it, right? They bought it for 536 occupied from Superior Loan Servicing. So that could have been like a REO or auction property. They bought it at the auction for 537, got the tenants out, took 3 months, maybe some 20, 30,000 cash for keys, and then they sold it, made a profit, and then this investor came and flipped it. That's what I think happened, or something like that.
I could see that too.
And but what I'm saying is, look at, so the first investor that bought it in March, he took a private money loan for 280. So essentially he put the difference. So he probably put like, $250,000, $300,000 down to take that deal down. And then the other investor used this equity financial group and then bought it for 636. So they put like 200,000 down. So put about 25, 30% down. So you see what I'm saying, guys? And then the end buyer ended up getting a $636,000 loan from Sharp Loans. You see how this is valuable to kind of re-engineer, see other people's deals. And if we're going to be making—
And Alex, the re-engineer process works for us to get our price too, right? Like you can get what the price is that we could spend based on the ROI that we would want to get for our money, right? So if we want a 30% return,
we're pretty far off, you guys. It's 750, so we probably have to be similar to what the other investor is. I mean, actually, probably even a little bit less if we're gonna do this deal. We probably have to be somewhere closer to that, right? Or 625, or 620. So we probably have to be somewhere closer to like 625, I want to say. But at the same time, we wouldn't be calculating thinking we're going to sell a property in 75 days either. I mean, our normal is about 4 months. So I think that was just very lucky on their behalf. They executed, and it was probably in decent shape. Didn't need major systems, and I bet you $1,000 that they didn't pull permits. That's fucking for sure.
Now, you guys saw that this only took 15 minutes, so it doesn't mean that you can't make an offer on this property still. You could still call and say, hey, we're probably going to be in the 625 or 625 to 675 range, something around there. And then they can call you back and be like, you know what? We actually has been listed for 50 days. We haven't had much activity. Let's see if the seller would entertain that. So keep that in mind, guys. Like, when you do these quick and dirties, the goal of it is still to make an offer. So when we say an offer a day, like we might make 5-10 offers in a day, because any deal we analyze, we're at least putting in that offer. We're taking that shot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dude, that was fun.
I love doing the deal review. It's so fun to get in there and get your juices going and looking at deals. And
I want to buy some deals now. I want to buy some houses. Come on, dude.
I know we bought 2 today, and this makes you fired up to buy another couple. So guys, again, if you are new to the group, I see a couple people, Jonathan, asking over there in the chat. Just want to make sure you guys know that we have a Facebook group. I posted the link earlier, and I'll post it again one more time here. Make sure you guys go to that Facebook group. We have the entire calculator that Alex was just using on the flip on there. So go to that link. I just posted it in there. Use that calculator if you're looking to review deals. Again, we use that daily, and that's how we know what deals we're looking at and what deals we're passing on. So please use that. And there's a tutorial along with it, as Alex mentioned, also on the Facebook group. Just search a little bit further down, and it actually kind of goes in, and Alex shows you what each one is and how to use it. So we'll see you guys on the flip side. I know we're going to do a special guest here coming up soon. So guys, if you have anything, any needs, any wants, or any good deeds you want to share, please share those in the Facebook group as well. I know people get a lot of inspiration and motivation when they see other people, even if they're small wins, big wins, you get a big listing, you get something, let us know. We want to hear about it. All right.
Cool. All right, guys. See you on the flip side. Let's go make some money.
Let's go.